All right, sit on the iPad. I gave Pete the iPad, so hopefully he'll leave us alone for a little bit. Okay, chapter 25, intercalary chapter. It really repeats a lot of the stuff we've already been talking about. California is pretty, but do not touch. It's a bountiful, colorful land. Scientists, chemists, doctors. In California, there's a lot of science and industry in their farming. It's not as, I guess I want to say family driven as it was in Oklahoma and some of the other states like Kansas. So it's a different world for the Jodes. And we learned that a long time ago. As proud as the Californians are, as proud as these scientists and doctors and chemists are, they still cannot afford to pay decent wages to pick their crops, which is one of the problems that these migrants are having. And again, this is a lot of repeated information in chapter 25. Chapter 25 is one of those chapters that we usually kind of skip because it's just we're tooting the same horn over and over again, if you will. Fruit is destroyed, food is destroyed, animals are destroyed in order to maintain price. Again, same song and dance that we've seen a couple times before. Let's talk about a little historical context here. So, unions, a new class consciousness have been growing since the turn of the century, with the interest in Marxism, socialism, and communism to help oppressed workers. The ecological terror that blew across 50 million acres of the Midwest and Southwest. These are all things that happened, This is also post-Spanish-American War and World War I, where America flexed its military and economic muscle abroad whilst abandoning its working class. So keep in mind, while all of this stuff was happening, it wasn't just happening in the 30s. It had been happening for 20 or 30 years, kind of in the background. You guys read Gatsby last year, so you knew that the rich and famous they were very rich and they were very famous. They were doing very well for themselves. But the working people were still kind of not treated all that great. And in the meantime, the American government was not really helping the working class people. Instead, they were more focused on expeditions and spending their money on the military. Many laborers suffered from disease, starvation, low wages, and intolerable working conditions. So because of these factors and the things that we've been talking about, eventually people, because we said like way back in chapter 21 maybe, when you get enough people together and they are hungry and starved and beaten and mistreated enough, eventually they're going to organize and say, look, we're not going to stand for this anymore. They're going to demand to be treated better. They're going to demand to be paid a living wage, which is one of the reasons why now we have, like this book, the reason Steinbeck won so many awards, he was influential in American life. This is one of the reasons why we have a minimum wage now. I mean, and it's also the same argument people continue to use to increase the minimum wage. It's this idea of giving your lowest level, entry level laborers, entry level workers, basically enough money to support themselves and a family. Okay, this was a little bit different situation, but it's still many of the same concepts and ideas. Okay, we'll be on to chapter 6 here. We're gonna make chapter 26 its own video because that was a beast of a chapter.